3, 2, 1.
Hello! We are here.
The song.
Oh. Okay, well. We are officially here.
Curious to see what that sounds like.
Oh, that's going to sound... I'm going to delete that.
It's going to sound good.
It's going to sound real bad. Well, we're here for the first time in 5 weeks after a Packers win.
What?
A Packers
I'm not familiar with that phrase.
Yes,
what do you mean?
Things we used to do a lot the last few years, but not so much this year. So we could start our Packers Minute, which I don't have very much to add other than that was a very impressive win. I would argue probably the most important win in the Matt LaFleur era because it is the first time that they have been down by 14 points in the fourth quarter. It did not cower into a little hole and give up.
Yes.
They actually came back and won. So I think those are the kind of games that can help project a team because nobody gave them a chance, myself included.
Same.
And Dallas is coming off a bye, well rested, didn't play bad. They still played. I mean, the Packers didn't play great either.
Yeah.
But they still got to win. Long way to go. But I think just in general, it's nice to get a win. Doesn't mean I think they're a playoff team. It's just nice to get a win.
Yeah. And I think it's nice because the rookies, I think it's important. People forget that, like, Devontae did not have a breakout rookie year, and Jordy didn't have a breakout rookie year. And I think
had a good one, but not a breakout. Yeah.
But I think there was probably, if not an unfair, certainly an unreasonable expectation from some people on the rookie receivers. And I think it's nice to be proven that, like,
give time.
If you give them time and you keep going to them and you don't make them think like, oh, you dropped that ball, you're done in the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it was really nice to see. I don't like the backflip. I think that'd be a real dumb way to hurt yourself.
I was thinking the same thing, and he's done it before. Jones jumping into the end zone.
Yeah.
Stop.
You're going to bust a collarbone or some shit for nothing.
That's easy, though. Having played football, if you're diving and you get all the pads on, you're not feeling that.
I still don't like it.
I'm saying. Rodgers had pads on both times.
Because, I mean, look at Judy running around. Now he's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. But overall,
good game.
It was finally good to see a win, get a win in Lambeau, and it was also nice to be on the receiving end of a complete game mismanagement by Mike McCarthy for a change, by going for it in midfield and in overtime when you probably should have just punted the ball.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, if you're going to give it up there, you might as well kick it then because it's like a 55-yard field goal. But, you know, it is what it is. To wrap this up, they are fortunate that they're in a bad NFC. If they win on Thursday against a very difficult Titans team, then I think it starts giving them momentum a little bit to maybe right the ship a little bit.
Sure.
Doesn't change their margin for error being very small.
Correct.
But Rodgers played yesterday like an MVP. His accuracy was good. He made the right decisions for the most part. And if they can get that play out of him, and guys are actually running in the right spots,
yes,
like they should be, and the play calling is under center and setting things up later in the game, then that's the recipe for victory. I mean, but if they lose Thursday, I mean, they're kind of running out of time to actually gain any sort of ground.
That's a good question. How many more losses do you think? And I don't want to be pessimistic, but like
two max.
Two more losses
max.
before it's just like mathematically.
A 9-8 team is that's probably the low bar. Does anybody have any grievances this week?
I have two, and if you want to pick one, you may. One is a generational one, and one is about people being offended.
Start with the first one.
Okay. I have noticed, and I'm curious if you've noticed as well, either one of you, when I'm in a public place and I'm using the facilities, I have noticed...
Number one or number two?
Number one, always. I do not do number two.
You're not a public pooper?
No.
Gross.
Gross, dude.
Avoid at all costs unless emergency use only. Go ahead.
Yeah. There are 50 animals I would rather wrestle than take a shit at Target. Okay, and it happened once at a Target. It's happened a handful of times, enough that I have noticed it. The generation sort of after us, people in like their late teens nowadays. I have found that if I am taking a pee at the urinal and there is an available urinal, this generation of dudes, I can't speak for the ladies, this generation of dudes will wait until you're done rather than take a piss next to you. Why is it better to sit there and watch me take a piss? Is it homophobia, you think?
Probably, maybe some of that.
Should we just make it known that like we don't want to see anybody's dick? Nobody wants to see your dick.
Well, and here's what happens. It depends on the type of bathroom.
Even people that like dicks usually don't like looking at them.
Depends on the type of bathroom. Do you have the divider?
Yes.
In between urinal?
Yes.
Well, then fucking man up and go piss next to
Isn't
somebody.
that weird though? That they like just stand back and watch
here's
me
the other
take a
general
leak?
rule. Nobody's gonna look over. And if you are, guess who's the creep? The dude looking over at your dick.
Right.
Like, get over it.
Right.
Or just hop in the stall.
There you go.
Take a pee in there.
Yeah.
Eventually,
I
I happen to think Larry David is ahead of his time by saying, kind of like sitting down to pee.
They say it's better for you, for your prostate or something. I don't know.
Why
But
can't
again,
we
I'm
sit down to pee?
from the generation of like you go to the sports game and it's 80 dudes pissing in a bathtub basically. And like no one's hiding nothing.
Okay, yeah, so I'm supposed to go to Lambeau Field and take a piss with everybody's piss steam sharing up a huge misting piss steam.
In the cold weather games, it's kind of nice.
Like, I mean, okay, so what are we supposed to do here?
Little pissy sauna for you.
Yeah, okay, well, I
It's
gotta
nice.
piss.
It's
So
good for the pores while simultaneously being very bad for your pore. My other one, I'm curious to hear your take on this. And I'm going to be kind of vague because I don't want to like throw anybody under the way. A musician, not from the area,
Okay.
but that you would know if I told you the name,
Oh.
tweeted that they were at a Starbucks and they heard a Christmas song with explicitly Christian lyrics
Okay.
and then said, "So offensive."
Huh?
Yeah. And it made me think, do you think that people, and I don't want to get into a whole thing, but do you think people, you're not really offended?
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But you think it's cool to be offended?
Or you just realize like I potentially someone might be. You see a potential
So then that means I have
option,
to be.
so I am. It's like, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've been like truly offended in the recent past.
It's absolutely silly. I feel like I should be offended crowd
Yes.
is also the ones who are on Twitter saying, I can't believe that Elon is doing X, Y, and Z with Twitter. I can't believe he's letting X, Y, and Z hateful person back on Twitter. It's like, you don't have to follow them. And you don't have to be on Twitter unless you are addicted to Twitter and thus can't envision yourself living without it.
Sure.
So then I need everything to line up to what I want.
Well, that's my thing.
Maybe look at why you can't get yourself off of Twitter
Yes.
and that you can't ignore things you don't like. Maybe that's part of the problem.
That was another potential grievance that they're talking about. I guess there's a thing called Mastodon.
The band?
No, it's like a new Twitter for people that are
That's Jack's
bothered. I don't really know.
Yeah, Jack who created Twitter. That's like his competitor. Or whatever.
But my thing is like, just don't have. There always has to be a social media platform to replace the one that you have to leave, and ask yourself really like,
Why do I need to?
why do we need it all? It's bad for you. We know that it's bad for you, and for all the, we believe in science and like science says, get the fuck off of Twitter now.
Or if you're gonna go on it, like just get it for informational purposes, like your favorite music stuff or your bands that you follow.
Sure.
You don't have to engage in all of the shit that you don't like.
Right.
No one is forcing you to sign up for Twitter.
Right.
So maybe just gives a fuck who's on there.
And it's like you walk into it,
Cares.
and that's why I thought this was a nice, like, totally apolitical, I think. And I will say, like, I don't have a religion. I'm not a believer in a lot of stuff. I guess you could call me an agnostic.
Sure.
I'm more into like philosophy than I am in religion. But if you walk into a Starbucks and they're playing an explicitly Christian Christmas song, which is not that rare,
It's pretty much.
why don't you just? Because here's why. I've never liked the music in a Starbucks. I've never walked in and been like, oh, cool, fucking Enya, cool. Might stay.
I like
Might just sit here
I like Enya.
and groove on this radical tunage. Like,
Love that.
I just want to light some candles to take a bath right here in the Starbucks. Just get your coffee and leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
You got to watch Coffee Town. You have to watch Coffee Town.
do.
If you haven't. Anyway.
but yeah, I feel like, and I say this out of love for the people doing it. If you can avoid, like the whole root of stoicism is you don't have to have an opinion on this.
You don't.
So if you can, you will have an infinitely better, happier, more peaceful existence. If you don't get all clenched up every time you hear a song or and I get some shit is offensive and some shit should be called out and some shit should be addressed.
People
But
love
it's not
them.
everything.
People love them. Some outrage on other people's behalf. Because it makes them feel good about fighting for people. Well, you know what? Maybe you just sound like a whiny little bitch too.
More often than not. And also it's important to say, like, it's usually not actually doing anything.
It doesn't.
Like
do
you going
enough.
on Twitter.
Do you think that corporate Starbucks is going to say, "Oh man, this musician from the Midwest really drug us apart for playing XYZ Christmas song.
Right.
We need to change our corporate culture. Emergency meeting."
Right.
And then all the corporate marketing teams get together and say, "Who's in charge of our music at store 1566? How dare they play that Christmas song that is
Right.
universally acceptable by most people and doesn't make anybody sad, except for that one guy or girl who had a problem on Twitter."
And
Let's
meanwhile,
address
I
it.
assume because you were offended, you didn't get a coffee.
I'll take my coffee right now, thank you, and then I'm going to tweet.
Oh, but you still
my
gave them your
distaste.
money.
Yes.
Okay, sure. You know what offends me is how often they can't make the seal around the lid actually be a seal and it drips on my. That offends me. It hurts. It burns me. Also, I'm you could even call me an atheist if you wanted to, I guess. I don't think anybody really knows. But I was listening to gospel music all day today because the staple singers rip. Settle down. It's fine.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Listen to it. If you like what it sounds like, you can listen to
And
it.
if you don't, just don't. Who cares?
Along those same lines, maybe necessarily not a grievance, but the opposite of grievance was how the election went
Jubilation.
this last week.
I could turn that into a grievance if you want me to.
I can turn it into a grievance too.
It's one of my
Most
powers.
One of my favorite things that came out of this election was the absolute slam dunk of all the Trump baby boomers who have used their white male victimhood to justify their shitty behaviors.
You don't know
and
how hard
shitty
it is.
leader and blaming everybody else for their problems when they never went through anything difficult their entire baby boomer life. Unlike the generation before that went through depression and went through significant challenges in multiple world wars. And yet they, for decades, looked to Fox News and Rush Limbaugh to make victims out of themselves. And finally, the young generation said, "You guys are a bunch of fucking racist, idiotic people who can't critically think anymore.
There you
And
go.
we're going to show up to the polls and say, this election-denying dipshit and all of his little cronies are fucking stupid."
I even heard in Pennsylvania, where the Republicans took it pretty hard in the teeth, now they're going like, hey, we need to rethink our stance on mail-in votes because we're telling people not to vote.
Well, and there was an interesting point brought up of how all the right-wing media was saying there's going to be a red wave, red tsunami. And they're saying, well, why the fuck did you do that? Because you're almost encouraging people like,
Don't
you
bother,
don't even
just
have
stay
to go
home.
out. We're going to win.
Well, and the other thing,
Rat.
the other piece about that whole thing is, I've never been called one fucking time by a pollster.
Nope.
Never one
neither.
fucking time. But you know who does answer pollster calls? People who are sitting at home, baby boomers and older.
The
And they
closest
didn't
I've
bother to call because you know who doesn't pick up a phone when a pollster calls? Anybody under the age of 40.
right.
So how are you going to actually get the pulse on the youth vote when you're using an archaic technology
Yep.
to capture your projections on what's going to happen? Oh, side note, sort of a grievance. I want to meet an Evers Ron Johnson voter.
Right?
This is one of my
Holy
questions.
Shit.
This is one of my questions. I have
What?
I was looking at the counties. Like, what the fuck
It's
is
crazy.
this?
What?
What's
I
that?
have two. That's what I don't understand. At first, I thought, okay, so maybe it's people that are just going in, voting for governor, and just not looking down ballot at all. Like I know with the presidential election, people vote for president and don't But then I actually added up the numbers of how many votes Barnes and Johnson got, and it's the same as Evers and Michaels. So, like, there are people that voted for Tony Evers and Ron Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought maybe it's just...
I would love to understand that. Anyway.
The only theory I have is I am happy with things as they are.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the only one. And then, of course, a friend of mine who I respect, and I haven't talked to him about it. I just saw him say it publicly, so I won't say his name, but you know him as well. He said it's just racism.
It is. There's two parts to that.
Well, I guess I'm thrown off, like, wouldn't a racist person have not voted for Tony Evers?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the way I look at it.
Maybe I'm being naive. I don't know.
So, from what I read, voter turnout in Milwaukee County was actually down from 2020 election.
Yes.
So
Which
I think that
historically
typically,
bad for Dems.
which is usually a bad sign. So I think that maybe because there weren't as many voters in that area, probably impacted usually a left-leaning district and probably a little bit more votes. The second piece is two things that I think Republicans spent a lot of time on that Senate election was the ads about the more radical views of Mandela Barnes. And I think that Wisconsin has proven, and it has been for the most part, a purple state, which is exactly what we're talking about. It's red and, people are going both. I just feel like a lot of people thought that was some of his policies were a little bit too far. Mm-hmm. And I think that he lost some of the middle vote because of that. I'm also saying rural Wisconsin people, like, they're still going to hesitate to vote for a black person. So I think it was definitely a factor. I don't think it's the factor, but I think the lack of votes in Milwaukee County probably impacted that in a close race like this. But I also think maybe some people maybe it's a fair share of Republicans who are like, I'm not voting for the guy who lives 6 months and 1 day here in Tim Michaels because he's not really from here. Evers has done a decent enough job. We actually have a surplus.
Is doing well. Yeah.
We have a surplus right now, which Republicans should be drooling over, and fiscal conservatives probably are saying, at least we have a budget surplus, and at least our schools are getting funded, and at least we're doing things with roads, right? So if you're a reasonable middle of the road person, you're probably like, yeah, Evers has done a good enough job. He's not an election denier, which Tim Michaels clearly is. He wasn't backed by Trump.
Right.
So a lot of people in the middle, including center-right Republicans, are like, I can't vote for that shit.
Sure.
And the entire country said that to people who were...
Dude, even like Fox News is saying it. Like Fox News has kind of turned on Trump because he didn't deliver.
No, they should.
And because, now they have DeSantis to be
Oh my God,
with.
though. Have you been... Okay, so
DeSanctimonious.
I'm not on Truth Social or whatever is the Trump platform.
Good.
But I love that people...
Central.
What is it?
It's Troth Central.
Troth Central. That was so fun. But one thing that has been great about it is about Twitter is people are screenshotting what Trump is posting on there. It is the funniest shit ever. And it's so delusional. And it's like I can just imagine him in this, in his hotel, just rage messaging on this tool. And like, well, I don't know about this guy's name. Young Kim. Seems a little bit like Kim Jong-un to me. And like just shit like that. It's like, how many people fucking believe this guy was actually the answer for the Republican Party? A lot.
It's sad.
A lot of them. The most encouraging thing out of the whole thing, and then we can wrap this up, is the kids are all right, man.
Yeah, dude.
They look at things... you look at the floor of what your parents did and you try to be better. And when you become a parent, you try to have it set a higher floor.
And
they don't see racism. They weren't exposed to the racism that we grew up with around here.
Sure.
They don't know why their crazy uncle and maybe their parents are making homophobic comments when they have a gay friend.
Right.
They're not against social issues that are but my friend is this way. This doesn't make sense to me. They ask questions. They don't take what they were given and just immediately regurgitate and bark it out with any critical thinking. Now, the key is if they can keep showing up and take hold of their generation, if they can continue to go out and be, hey, voting is cool. We actually have a voice. And if that's...
Like Puff Daddy did.
Yeah,
Vote or die, motherfuckers.
But I mean, they're the generation that has to make change, and they showed up to a midterm, which is amazing. And if they can continue to do that, real changes will actually happen in this country. And that's honestly the first time in my life that I've actually felt like that, or it's the first time in a long time.
I just realized how much it kind of mirrors the Packers-Cowboys game. We all thought that was going to go a lot worse.
Yeah.
I remember I said to and this might be just like my mantra moving forward, I feel a lot better than I would have if it had gone worse.
Yeah.
And that's just the perfect way to like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I might put that on a t-shirt. I feel better than I would have if it had gone worse.
Yep. The least amount of losses in a midterm since FDR.
Yep. Because they were saying like, what?
That's crazy.
40, 60 seats probably. And what is it, 10, if that?
And,
Fucking
and a
Herschel
net
Walker,
positive
though.
and a net growth in the Senate.
Herschel Walker.
Yeah, Georgia's something else.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
It's the,
this is what I love
it's
about
the
this.
epitome of fucking stupidity.
Do you know that like over 80% of people that voted for him consider themselves evangelical?
That's the...
And they didn't even vote for the fucking guy who's an actual...
These are the same people piping that offensive horse shit through Starbucks.
Yeah.
It's like you've said numerous times, it all comes down to what letter is in front of their name.
What
That's
letter
all
is
it
in
is.
front?
Screwed
No wonder
us.
you can't get the youth vote when all you talk about is repealing Obamacare again.
Right, we're going to take away your health
Doing
insurance.
that. Yeah. So wait, you want to take health care away from people?
And
Right.
Social Security,
and Social Security
and Medicare, Medicaid, all
Medicare,
of it.
Medicaid, like you want to take care of that. Oh, and now you want to have control over women's bodies and probably maybe who people can marry. Like what the fuck? Like okay.
Yeah.
Way to go, youth. Anyway.
Yep.
Any more grievances?
I think that ought to do it.
I think that's
We did like 5.
Felt good.
a lot of good grievances, but a lot of positivity too.
Indeed.
Grievances have a positive spin.
Indeed.
So one thing that was on the list today, we are going to have our first snow of the week, the first snow of the season.
It might be snowing right now, according to my weather app.
Oh,
And potentially tomorrow as
1 to
well.
3
It said all day tomorrow, up to 3 inches.
I don't like that.
No?
See,
No, I'm
okay,
not ready for that yet.
explain.
Go ahead.
I'm so used to now how it's been. Like, we just start to get snow, like, right before Christmas. And I've been perfectly fine with that. I don't want to be out smoking my turkey with fucking snow on the ground. I'm not ready for it yet. I'm
You
just
smoke
not.
a turkey?
Every year, dude.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
Not
Save me
ready.
some. Bring some to the
So,
podcast.
Oh, there we go.
so early season, Adam, not ready.
Not ready.
Doesn't want it. What about you?
My main, possibly only gripe with snow is when it affects my ability to play shows. To like, if I got to travel to, Mosinee or somewhere or Chicago or something, and it's hard to book stuff
Yeah.
in the winter because you're like, well, I'm not gonna, because I'm at the age now too, and this is terrible to say out loud, but like, I'm at the age now where like, I'm not gonna risk my life to come play at your place. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
there was a time for all of us where it was like, no, get in the car, man. We'll drive all night through the snow, and they're gonna pay us $18.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But I do. There is a part of me as I get older, and I honestly think, with the COVID year, it was the first winter that it didn't conflict with anything else, so I was able to just kind of enjoy it. And it's a nice time to like get a little quiet and like write and work on some stuff, and I could that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
like
I think traditionally, just the way it usually works out, winter is when we rehearse because we usually make our records in the spring. So maybe we'll do that, and it's nice that everyone lives in Appleton now. We used to remember that winter we had to drive to Green Bay a small handful of times in like some pretty treacherous
Oh yeah.
conditions.
That was
But no, there's a
free
part of me
play.
that likes as I get older, I sort of soften and like like the idea of like a white Christmas and stuff.
Yeah.
I
like,
would say like, if it's gonna be cold, then just let it fucking snow.
But you can drive in the cold.
Yeah, but
You don't got to shovel the cold.
well, right, but the chances that we get a snowstorm are like we're talking 1 to 3 inches. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's not a big deal.
no, and
If
the
it's
roads
gonna
will
be
clear
cold.
off in a day.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would be surprised if it actually accumulates very much. But
Yeah.
but I typically like I don't want to see it, hear about it through October. I want nothing to do with it. As we get closer to Thanksgiving and the holidays, I'm good with it. After January 1st, I don't want to fucking see snow.
That's my. I would love every season if they were all 3 months.
Yep.
But winter seems to every year. It's like it stretches into April and then May, and you're just like, good. Remember there was we were like got national press coverage because there was that snowbank in the parking ramp downtown
And it would never
that made it to July or some shit because it was in the shade.
Well, we had that, like 2 feet of snow in April. a number of years back.
I will say, and this will be a grievance at some point this winter, one of my main problems with snow is that, like,
driving
people from Wisconsin that brag about, I learned to drive in the snow. They forget how to do it every year. And they drive like assholes.
I don't think people really talk about this, but your pickup truck does not do well in snow. Just because it's a truck doesn't mean it's automatically good in snow. The amount of times for 10 years I drove from Appleton to Green Bay, and the amount of times
shits in the ditch all
where
the time.
I would see some idiot in an F-150 going 85 in snowy conditions about a mile or two up the road. Oh, you're stuck. We'll see you later, buddy. Perfectly safe, not an accident, but in the ditch.
Leave early, get there late, take your time, man. It's not a big deal. Man. Don't die.
Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I love driving in the snow. When you have a vehicle that's good for snow, I have no problem with it. But it's like you said, people act like they've never driven in it before. Right. They forget how or they act like they're invincible.
Yeah,
and that's even silly. And
it's dangerous. And you're playing with other people's money too. Yeah. Like, you're not gonna just kill yourself in a car accident.
Yeah, there's no reason for you to have to. If the roads are bad, I think everybody nowadays is reasonable that, like, we're not gonna go. No, it doesn't make sense. Right. Like, it's just, but I'm excited for a little bit of snow. Fox gets super excited about.
Yeah, he's at a fun age still for snow. Ollie has kind of aged out of it a little bit, but Fox is at a fun age.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it. So, is there any when you think of winter, what are some favorite winter activities? You mentioned a couple of them. We do practice. We write a little bit more. Adam, what about you? What are winter?
My winter plans, and they usually fall through because I'm lazy, but every year I always think I want to spend as much time down in my shop as possible because it's the perfect amount of time to dive into either things I already do or things I want to learn. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I want to learn, and I've talked with Chris about this, I want to learn how to build acoustic guitars. So I had briefly talked with a guy on Instagram who makes some really great guitars.
What's his name?
On Instagram or OnlyFans?
Is it Corey?
His name is, I don't know his first name. It's Wrights Luthery.
Okay. There's a guy here in town that builds guitars that I'm friends with, and he invited me down to the shop. I'll bring you with me.
You should, because I've reached out to 2 luthiers, I think the only 2 around here. One guy did respond, because I just asked.
Is it Corey Arndt?
Yeah, I think it might have been him, because he just said, like, I don't really have the ability to have an apprentice, but if you just want to come by and check it out and see how it's done.
Yeah, he's fast becoming like a buddy of mine.
Oh, really?
And we've even been talking about, like, if I were going to put in an order, like, what I would want, and he's been real like, oh yeah, we could do that, and we could do that, and we could do, like he told me I could bring down the 28 and just measure the neck off of it, and he'd build me another.
Really?
Yeah. But he said I should come down to the shop. You should come with me.
I would love that, because like that's been my problem is finding. I want to find luthiers that just make simple stuff. Like, I don't want a bunch of embellished shit and cutaways. Like, just make a D28.
I want a Parker Fly version of an acoustic guitar. Why can't anybody make that for me? Oh my God, those things.
That'll be a grievance someday. Acoustic guitars with cutaways.
Oh God.
How much gnarly shredding are you trying to do on that Taylor tool?
I mean, I guess like Doc Watson I can understand, because he probably uses those notes.
Anything else? Like, what about you? You mentioned any other winter activities that you enjoy?
I just find it's a good time. Like, anytime someone's like, we had that moment with Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. Anytime
someone says, like, have you seen whatever thing? I say it's on my list. I usually can do a lot of damage to the list during the winter. Because it gets dark early and, like, you know.
That's the biggest thing is it's darker, and it's like, because, you know, summer it's like, you know, we'll go for a walk and then we'll do other things, and then it's like 7 o'clock. And for me,
I think the football's better in the winter too. I like winter football.
Yeah,
like
winter football's good. So for me, sitting around, if it's too cold to do stuff, like, I have to find something. So video games are a time killer there. I also try to do a little bit more drumming.
Yep.
And just indoor stuff. I usually pick up a little bit more music stuff in winter, because there's just, I mean, it's not much you can do outside.
It's a good time to dedicate yourself to an instrument.
That's true.
I also this year am planning on doing a winter camp. I'm going to camp in winter. So I have a pretty unique setup that I can do that. And honestly, winter camping is, if you've gone to like like what I've done my whole life. You go to Packer games or you go hunting when you're outside and you've got warm gear and you know how to stay warm. I think it's actually a lot of fun because you just basically get this huge fire rolling and you get in close and you got plenty of warm gear. You get warm food, warm beverages, and then
Gore-Tex.
as long as it's Gore-Tex, as long as you can keep dry, then you can always put on extra layers. I think it's a lot of fun. But
Sure.
But yeah, I got to figure out some new video games to get into, man. Because during COVID, I played. What were you playing?
I was playing the dodgeball game in COVID.
Dodgeball. What was the other? Rocket League.
Rocket
League's fun.
I tried
Ollie
it.
has
I
that.
suck
That's
at
fun.
it so bad.
So do I,
just
but it's
never-
fun to play with you guys because it's like, it's fun. But that's pretty much it. I also like to cook in general, but I feel like I get more time to like look up new recipes and do cooking for dinner.
Sure.
And stuff.
Yeah, the cooking can get more expansive in the winter. Like I like experimenting with soups and stews and all that fun stuff.
Oh my God, I love soup season.
Pumpkin spice and
When
soup
I
season.
can use my crock pot for something, get out of the way. Because if it can be crock potted, I will crock pot it.
That is such a comforting feeling, just like knowing there's a crock pot going
Of food,
near you.
and all you gotta
Yeah.
do later is just eat it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't have to prepare anything. You just
Yeah. It makes the
in.
whole house smell really good.
you can. I mean, do you use a crock pot, Adam?
I have a few times. I haven't really utilized it as much as I probably should.
So, one of my favorite things to do is to crock pot various types of meat that can be made into tacos.
He turned it into a verb.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crock pot
Crock-potting.
that.
Yep. Well, what would you call it?
I don't know.
Slow cook.
You're crocking
Slow
it.
cook.
I think you're crocking it
You're slow cooking it.
in a crock pot.
I like saying it's
It's
a
a
crock.
pot that crocks things.
It's a crocked pot.
Yeah. This chicken's good. I crocked it.
I crocked it.
That's why it's so tender.
I crocked it over the course of 8 hours.
Nice slow crocking.
But there's a lot you can do.
Yeah.
And I love them.
Tori makes sesame chicken in the slow cooker every Sunday, and it's delicious.
There's a really good coconut curry that you can chicken coconut curry you can make in a crock pot, which is really good.
Yum.
I tend to make during Packer season a lot because I can sometimes take it to the game.
Sure.
Is I will make like an enchilada soup,
Ooh.
like a green enchilada soup, which is like almost like a white chicken chili, but it's sort of like green enchilada.
Sure.
I know you have your chili recipe already.
Mm-hmm.
But I have another one for you if you ever want to try it. I'll send you the link.
I will happily entertain it.
It's delicious.
I'll glance at it.
I'll glance at
Give
that.
it a look.
Do you know what that's from? I'll glance
No,
at
I
it.
probably should, but I don't.
From The Office, where Jim creates the list of famous speeches from during the sales
The
presentation.
dictators, and he gives it to Dwight.
He's like, I'll
I'll
glance at it.
glance at it.
I'll glance at it.
I don't
When
remember
you-
that line at all.
Yeah.
I know the
Absolutely,
episode, but
I do
don't
not.
remember the line.
So we do have time for the Crunchy,
Crunchy
Corner.
Corner. I love this segment. It's a good segment.
So this week we've got, speaking of The Office, Her's chips
Hey,
are
look at
real,
that.
and they are really good.
I thought these were Hollywood, like the 555 area code, or isn't Heisler
chips.
fake beer? Like every
what
TV
is it?
show, they drink Heisler,
I don't know.
and I've never seen that
Probably.
anywhere. I thought
It's
hers
probably
were
fake.
Hollywood chips, but they're real. Behold.
Her Foods, Nottingham, Pennsylvania.
What?
Whoa.
So The Office
Hey.
pulling in a regional chip
Hey,
company.
there you go.
They did a lot of that
They
on
did a
the
lot
show.
of
Yeah, they
that.
did.
What was the other things that they did that were local? Oh, so the Chili's episode where with Tim Meadows and with Jan when Michael finds out that she just got divorced.
Okay, there's a couple times they have the Dundies at Chili's too.
The Dundies one. Do you know that the guy who said that woman is no longer allowed in any of these Chili's? Like that guy is the actual manager of a Chili's. And they gave
Really?
him the line. He's actually
a good job.
And he did a great
funny.
job. He's actually a manager of Chili's. Can
Can you imagine how hard it must have been for him to kick people out for the rest of like that year?
Oh yeah. But anyway, Her's horseradish and cheddar.
Now, we were talking off camera. I have not really had I've had wasabi before, but I've never just experienced horseradish. And you were saying that it's spicy in its own way.
It's a different
It's
burn.
a different type of burn.
Okay.
It's like I would equate it to biting into a raw clove of garlic. It's
That
got
type of
that kind of spice.
Believe it
to
or not, I have not done that either.
I wouldn't recommend it. Oh, yeah. I think I have a new favorite Michael Scott quote. It is the, I've made a lot of empty promises in my life. That one had to be the most generous. Scott Stotts.
I still have trouble with the awkwardness of that episode.
It's hard.
Computer batteries really
I'm
do.
gonna do a quick shout out to Her's here and read what they've got on there.
They're pretty
package.
good. Okay. They're not very spicy at all.
It's more, and it goes by really quick.
Yeah.
I don't mean this in a bad way. It's more of a sting than a burn.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
More of a sting tingle.
It's like getting lime juice.
A
in
stingle. Plus, the chip itself is a nice chip.
Yeah.
It's a waffle chip, or what would it?
A ruffle.
Ruffle chip. The interesting
We've
thing
gone
is
through this.
the guy who made the chip is on the package.
Yeah.
And it says Her's, forever good. In 1946, my father, James S. Herr, began making potato chips, believing hard work, honesty, and a commitment to family would be a recipe for success.
It's like I'm
A lot
reading a
has
recipe
changed.
on Pinterest. Get
It's
me
like a
the
band
fucking
bio.
Recipe. Yeah.
Her's chips came storming out of a Midwest basement to take the scene by storm.
taking the chip world by storm. Which if you don't have in your music bio, you need to hire
What
a
are you
new
even doing?
manager. Why even try? A lot has changed since then, but Dad's founding principles still hold true. Our company continues to work hard to craft bold, flavorful snacks. Accomplished.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
That is a both bold and flavorful chip.
We stay true to our consumers, providing delicious, high-quality products you can trust, and most importantly, our family remains committed to making great-tasting snacks for your family to enjoy for years to come. Thank you for choosing Her's. Ed Herr, Chairman and CEO. Well, Ed, you make a hell of a damn good chip.
Mission accomplished, Ed.
You need to stop just selling these in Menards and get them out everywhere.
I don't know. It's nice to have a chip that you could buy at the same time that you buy some fatigues and a car battery. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's like I can do that at Walmart, but you can't get these chips.
I'm saying.
Somehow, the snack sections
At
at
Menards?
Wisconsin hardware stores
It's
are
pretty.
pretty damn good.
Oh, Fleet Farm's.
They always have so much candy, too.
Yep.
Like giant 2-pound bags of
Well,
candy
Fleet
corn.
Farm's
and
got their
May.
own like white labeled candy, and it's like really good candy.
Yep.
Have you had their? I think they sell it elsewhere, but I saw it at Fleet Farm first. Their licorice that they have, that Australian stuff.
Oh yeah,
Oh my God.
The what's it called?
I can't remember the name. It's just in like little
The little,
humps.
like nubs of it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's so good.
their circus peanuts are really good too.
Are you a circus peanut guy?
I like them. Yeah,
Me too. We might be the only ones.
I've honestly never eaten one, but I will say the black and orange wrapped Halloween candies that everyone hated.
Oh, sure.
Those, I honestly didn't mind them. I thought they were pretty
That's
good.
the smartest thing as a kid that you can do is fall in love with a candy everybody hates, because you'll find piles of it in your life.
Oh yeah.
those orange and black ones are the ones they put the razor blades in.
And the liquid ecstasy, dude. The liquid ecstasy.
Oh, and the fentanyl.
That rainbow
If you get a
fentanyl.
razor blade one, you better hope you get an ecstasy one first.
I guess with that, any restaurants or local places we want to give a shout out to that have done a good job? If not, we can wrap this shit up.
I don't have a restaurant, but you had asked about records, and I have a pair.
Oh yeah, any new releases coming out you guys are excited about?
I don't know about coming out, but recently released. Every time I listen to the new Death Cab record, I like it 5% more. It's really, really good. And Trampled by Turtles put
was
one
here.
out. They're going to be
I thought
they're
they
at
were
the PAC.
Yeah.
Yep.
They just put one out that was produced by Jeff Tweedy at the Wilco Loft, and it's fantastic.
That's interesting. Tyler Childers on tour.
Yes.
Finally.
We'll talk off. I listened to that.
I listened. I still haven't. I listened to.
See if we can, I bet
Yeah,
you-
we
Do you know
can
the
just,
deal with the record?
No.
It's 3 LPs. Each one has the same track listing, but they're supposedly different versions. I listened to it. 2 of them sounded the same to me, minus like a horn part.
Yeah.
And then one of them sounded completely different. Like it was a spoken word radio broadcast. Like it didn't even sound like I didn't understand it.
One other shout out I want to give.
His tiny desk is great though.
Aaron Lee Tasjan. The guy's uber talented. His band is super good. Just finished up a tour with Butch Walker.
He was opening and playing in his band. He played on the record too.
And Butch was putting a lot out there of like, this guy's the real dude. You guys got to check him out. Aaron's great. His music's great. His band's great. I just thought that was really cool to see, because what Butch says is usually pretty damn good, and he's usually right.
He was Tasjan was very nice to us.
Yeah, he was super nice.
I spent a day with Butch once, and he was particularly Butch Walker was like so nice to Oliver. They talked about Fortnite for like a half hour. I think it's because Ollie and Butch's son are a similar age, and Butch was on tour and like missing his kid. And I have all these pictures of Oliver just like hanging out with Butch Walker. It was super sweet. But we've played with Tasjan
I talked to him at Mile for a while.
We played with him at
the Shitty Barn, and then we this year we played right after him at Spats. Really super, just a sweetheart.
Yeah, he's
really
always been
rad
real nice to
guitar,
us.
a boutique guitar collection, which is incredible.
He has these weird like boutique Firebirds.
He was walking me through a bunch of them and just kind of showing me. He's like, "Yeah, this one is a guy in Philadelphia who does things," and it was really cool. But yeah, great, super nice guy, extremely talented, and it's good to see someone like Butch, embrace and be like, "Dude, you're talented. You should, get a lot more visibility to what he's doing." So anyway, I thought that was really awesome. But I'm super excited. Honestly, like I'm afraid, but I'm also super excited to see the new Avatar when it comes out in December.
I have not seen the first one.
You should go watch the 3D version that they're airing the first one right now in the theaters. But
when is Avatar 2? Because there's like a heavy expectation for that. It's been like
been in the works for 10 years. But they shot 3 of them at once. So this next one, so that they shot the first one and then they worked on the next 3. There's 4 in total. But James Cameron has made a lot of epic movies and made a lot of really good ones. So I'm hopeful that he just does the same thing. But,
what did he do besides? And I'm not saying like the only one that I know off the top of my head is Titanic. Oh,
The Abyss. That was probably his like the biggest leap I think at the time. Did you see The Abyss? Did you see The Abyss? You should watch it. It's really good.
It influenced a lot of other movies.
Yeah, that one for when it came out at the time, it was absolutely incredible when it came out.
Underwater stuff is cool because underwater is spookier than people give it credit for.
Yeah,
underwater is almost like outer space.
Good. I mean, look at how little we've actually explored any of it. Speaking of blowing people's minds, I'm working myself up to Terrifier 2 because Dave watched it and he said, "Yeah, you got to see that shit."
Okay, I'll watch it too. Let me know and I'll watch it.
I'm waiting to watch it at home because I don't think I could handle that on a big screen.
It's 2.5 hours.
Yep,
is my biggest. But that's a grievance too, and I know it's not a unique one. People say this. Movies are too fucking long, dude.
Give me 75 to 90 minutes.
Yes, especially if we're talking upcoming things. John Wick 4. I like the John Wicks.
They're fucking awesome. Me and Annette finally watched them all. They're
so good,
amazing,
and like kind of mindless and like But did you see the trailer for the 4th one came out? But like, if we're talking action or horror or even comedy, like 90 minutes ought to do it, dude.
Yeah.
Like apparently the latest Black Panther is 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's a Marvel movie, and it's like
that's too long.
Come on, dude.
That's how I felt about the new Batman. Like it was good.
Yep.
And it was very well shot. Everything looked amazing, but it was so fucking
If it
long.
had ended when they caught the Riddler, I would have been like, best Batman.
Exactly.
That was superb. But then it went another 45 minutes.
Right. Like this perfectly leads you into the next movie. Stop now.
I'm 39, man. I got to take a piss.
I got to pee every 45 minutes.
Right.
But saying, with Terrifier 2 being 2.5 hours, he still said like the story for being a horror movie was good. It kept you involved the whole time.
No, I have not seen the first one. Have you seen the first one?
I've seen like half of it, and it's super brutal again.
Yes.
But this, like, I've seen scenes from the new one, and it's rough.
Did you watch Barbarian yet?
No, and Dave told me that too. And who else? Somebody else told me that too. I've heard it from a lot of people.
Did either one of you, I'm assuming you didn't, but did either one of you listen to Case 63?
Not yet. I haven't had a long drive yet.
You gotta. I mean, you could listen to the first episode on your drive home. It's like
That's true.
They're like 10 minutes, and you just listen to the first episode. It will get you. And there's really interesting ideas about time travel and how it would work if we could do it and that kind of thing.
We can do it. Just
Well,
at a very small
I
level.
have a drive tomorrow, so it's perfect time for it.
All right. Well, with that, anybody want some more chips before we wrap this bitch up?
I'm good. I don't know, like, I will say if I was gonna, in the interest of a fair critique, I think there's a lower ceiling for me on these. Like, I don't know if I could, like, you know, there's some chips where you're like, oh, if I didn't give a shit about anything, I could just crush that whole bag.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it.
It would get, the
would get to
spice
me.
would, it would start to.
It's not even the spice. It's just like I can feel it like it's alive down there.
You know, bubble gut.
Not even that, just like
Gonna give you bubble gut and hot snakes.
Hot snakes.
I didn't. Okay.
What, you
Hot
got
snakes.
diarrhea so bad that
No.
it feels like hot snakes are coming out?
Here's the thing. There's a band called Hot Snakes that I like a lot, and I own several of their records, and I did not know that until you said it.
That's an Andy Dwyerism from Parks and Rec. Anyway,
All right.
any final thoughts before we wrap up? Any more chips to eat? If not, let's try to get a fucking W on Thursday for the Packers.
W on Thursday.
W on Thursday.
Oh, just for you two. I have to go, or I'm going to WHAAAAAT to do a radio thing on Thursday.
Oh.
So I'm recording the game, and I'm going to watch it when I get home. So don't text me nothing.
I'm sequestered. I don't communicate.
That's why I said, when you text, a couple weeks ago, you texted something, I was like, oh, Zim's pissed. Like,
I sequester myself. It's better for us all. Anyway, alrighty. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
bye.
3, 2, 1.